Is your space feeling a little dull or plain? Are you looking to make it more vibrant but don't know where to begin? Well, today we understand how adding various patterns and textures to a room can give your space more visual interest and personality. First, we have our design maker of the day, Mpho Vackier of the Urbanative, as she shares with us her unique take on African contemporary furniture. Next, we have Donald Nxumalo, who shows us how to best apply patterns and textures to our homes. And then interior designer Jonathan Avnon takes us through a nature-inspired home. Hello and welcome again to Design For You. My name is Pilani Bubu. Today we talk patterns and texture and the best way to use them. Our guest Donald Nxumalo from DNX Interiors is going to give us tips on the right way to turn your home into a space you enjoy living in. But first, let's take a look at our design maker for the day, Mpho Vackier of the Urbanative, as she shares with us her inspiration and influences around her African contemporary furniture.
The phenomenon of global citizenship means one's identity can transcend both geographic and cultural borders. From this, engineer-turned-furniture designer and manufacturer Mpho Vackier of the Urbanative has been inspired to combine global ethnic patterns and motifs in creating exquisite furniture pieces.
I wanted to take cultural signifiers, in one culture and have them be related or relatable to everybody else, because it's like a conversation, I feel. Cultures use their cultural signifiers as a way of communicating, right? So why not take those communication signifiers and turn them into furniture that communicates in all spaces, that communicates in modern spaces, by using those signifiers, juxtaposing them with modern materials. Then that starts relating to the Urbanative. The Urbanative is someone who appreciates good design, who loves functional design that also looks great. We design our furniture as a celebration of culture, global cultures. So we love to design for people who travel a lot and who know about things like that and who are inquisitive and want to find out the story behind the pieces. When I look at the world or when I look at things, I see lines and forms. And I think it might be part of my engineering brain trying to make sense of things. Our initial collection is inspired by the geographic patterns of Ndebele culture. I have always loved the geometry of shapes that they use. I'm Tswana, but I feel that as a citizen of the world, all of these cultures, I can tap into them. They are part of my history. It started off with the lines. It starts off with the line and then the form. And then as I sketch, then the furniture piece starts appearing. The whole range is inspired by Ndebele graphics. Each piece has an Ndebele name. It's always so nice when people look through the catalog and they say, "Oh, I'm Tandeka too," after the server, or "My name is also Buhle." There's timber, steel, and then there's engineered timber. I like the juxtaposition of the natural materials and the man-made materials. So it's always about having that conversation. And it's also always about having that aesthetic tension to kind of spark a conversation. Why did you use this? Why is this like this? And I also find using the raw timber against man-made materials celebrates the authenticity of the raw materials that we use. Personally, I'm influenced by European mid-century design, but I also love taking things that are totally opposite and bringing them together. Everything talks to each other, and I think that's how I design. I like to design as all the pieces are having a conversation. I don't want it to look like you dressing it up or you're trying to hide something. So most of my pieces are edited, but you can still see the strong sense of the influence. I see my pieces fitting in most spaces, you know. I also see them as statement pieces, you know, so it's like when you buy a piece of art, you know, it stands there and everyone looks at it and enjoys it. Because we've kept the materials as well as the shapes simple, it kind of like fits in any interior. Contemporary African design, it is like so personal to each individual designer. You take like 5 South African designers and you ask them to design a chair that is contemporary and African. You're going to get 5 different chairs because the way that we process information and the way that we design and the way that we influence and inspired by Africa is totally different. Personal experiences have shaped us. So my chair is not going to look like your chair, but they're both contemporary African chairs. To me, it's so exciting because there's like this whole world that's just opened up and we can like tap into it and use our culture and use modern techniques and modern materials and come up with amazing original designs that are distinctly African but also relate to like a modern client or modern customer.
I love the idea of culture becoming a conversation, particularly talking patterns and textures, how certain cultural symbols and shapes actually become something that people can talk about. Talking patterns and texture today with me is Donald Nxumalo from TNX Interiors, top interior designer, only 28, who's made incredible strides in the industry. Welcome, Donald.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having us in your space. We need to talk about you now.
Yeah.
We want to know more and more about you. I know you've gotten a lot of coverage and you've been just growing year on year.
Yeah, it's been incredible. It has really been incredible. As a company, we have been blessed with incredible projects that have grown us step by step. We've slowly climbed the ladder and be regarded as one of the best out there in the industry. So it's a lot of hard work, but each time doing our very best with every client.
Sure, and it all starts somewhere. So tell us where your journey began.
Well, you know, interestingly enough, my journey began on a TV show. And I find myself on TV shows a lot. And so basically, I entered a reality TV show and I won. It was a design challenge and I won that. And from then I was able to grow myself and to grow my business. And you know, work begets work. So clients came looking for me and I was able to get all these amazing jobs.
What happened before that journey, deciding to enter the competition? Where were you at in your life?
My parents were very supportive of my design career, and you know, I think it was because they could see that I had talent in me, and I'm so happy and so grateful that they took that step to allow me to enroll and study interior design. And so that being said, there was a year when my parents couldn't afford the fees and I had to go out there and sort of like look for funds and make sure that I can sustain myself as a student. And that's exactly what I did. So I started working from an early age, and that's when I started the company, really. And
you worked within design, or did you wait at tables?
No.
Serve drinks?
I did work within design. I mean, I'd go to the shops. I studied in Pretoria and I am from Pretoria. So I'd go to the shops, like the small, very informal shops, and I'd say to them, I can help you get more customers by making your space more beautiful. And so I would paint the shops, I would put better shelving in, rearrange the store to make it more ergonomic and a lot more like just making it a lot vibey. And a lot of people started using me, and then you know that sort of allowed me to fund my student life in my last year.
I love that story. And talking about kind of humble beginnings, you know, I always say you humble yourself towards the art, but don't let mediocrity come between you and the art. And I know with you being young and coming into this career very young, and we all want to be around for long, do you feel any pressure of, you know what I mean, of where the next thing is going?
Where the next thing is, or if there's going to be like a next Donald. You know, I don't compete and I don't compare. I always keep my feet on the ground. And the point of all of this is that it's a business. So I take the business very seriously, and I've got like a team of designers, and I've got a team behind me. So an incredible team that helped me be Donald. And so I've got my feet on the ground. I'm well grounded.
Yeah, teamwork is always great.
Absolutely.
Tell me something about your clientele.
Yes.
And your style in the fusion. What do clients love about your style?
I'm beginning to realize that the client like the fact that as a designer, I'm bold. I'm not afraid to use texture and pattern and contrasting colors. And really, that's how I've become to be known. People come to me for color. I think in a world with so much gray and beige and greige, people are appreciating somebody that can do all those colors, but do it well.
We'll continue chatting just after the break. Who best to talk patterns and texture than Donald Nxumalo, who's eccentric, very talented, and bold in his design. Please do stay tuned. Welcome back. As promised, we have Donald Nxumalo of DNX Interiors here to talk to us about patterns and textures. He's had a really successful run in his career, runs a successful business, and he's also launched his own fabric line. Let's talk about the textures that you've used in this space in particular.
Well, the intention for this space was to make it fun, was to make it a little bit more glamorous, was to make it feel much bigger. So in terms of that, how the textures come through is that you've got the mirrors, which make the space feel much bigger. You've got the black and white wallpaper going horizontally, which makes it feel much bigger. It makes the walls feel longer. And then we obviously wanted to jazz it up a bit and have these marble coffee tables with shelves underneath, but the marble gives a nice sparkle. We've got the white tray with the mirror in there, making the space look much bigger. The big art piece above us also injects a sense of excitement into that space, but because it keeps within the black and the white, we get a more calmer effect to the room.
And with the cushions and the rug, what did you want to achieve with those?
Fabrics are always your best friend, and my advice is to keep your sofa as neutral as possible, and then accessorize with reckless abandon or with your scatter cushions. So have the black scatter cushion, have the white scatter cushion, have the zebra print, because that's fun, and have patterns going in different directions. The zebra is really away from the very linear and strictness of the strap. It's more organic.
And then talking texture is, how much is too much? If this was leather, would that be far out? If it was any other fabric? I
think take a color scheme and keep it consistent. You can have leather and fabric in one space, provided that they are within your color scheme. So if this could have been a brown leather sofa, but had I used brown scatter cushions and white scatter cushions, it would have still been a harmonious look, because we are playing, we're playing with balance.
And now the do's and don'ts in terms of all of that. So I don't know where you usually start, whether it's the walls or it's your foundational elements. What are the do's and don'ts when it comes to pattern?
I think you want to create a sense of harmony in a space. So whatever wallpaper you go for, make sure that you derive the colors that you use on your sofa, on your scatter cushions, on your rug from that space, and then a space would look more balanced and harmonious. Like this black and white wallpaper has informed the very marble tables that you see. You see the TV stand, which is a white TV stand with a black insert in it. You see the mirrors, you see reflective objects from the mirrors. So even just using that as a base gives you a lot more to work with.
I'm particularly obsessed with stripes.
Yes.
And it's easier because there's lines and I can balance things against lines, etc. What are the kinds of illusions that we can create in a room, using patterns, particularly on the walls?
All right, if you love stripes, then you must feel right at home then in this unit.
I absolutely love it.
Definitely using stripes in a horizontal pattern gives you an illusion of space, almost like the walls continue and they continue and they continue. So it's a way of elongating the walls. Had the stripes been vertically placed, the walls would have seemed a lot taller. So there is a way to play around with the space. Because this is a small space, a quite intimate space, we put it horizontal just to make it look bigger.
What are the biggest mistakes that people generally make with patterns and textures in a space?
I think sometimes some people are a little too afraid, and so the houses become too muted. But some people are just so
eccentric.
They cross the line. It's a red couch with a red rug and red walls and red everything that I think it can be a little bit too much. My advice is to keep it easy and simple.
Easy and simple. I hear you. Now we have a viewer.
Yes.
He's in the Eastern Cape, and he'd like to brighten up this room. And he's been pretty bold with the walls.
Yes.
That's quite a moody, dark wall.
Yes.
Really rich color.
Yeah.
Pretty, but you could give the best advice.
I love that they aren't afraid of color. That's a definite positive. And also the rug is the right size. I would move the rug closer to the couches, so both legs of those couches must be resting on the rug. And
both legs, yeah?
And that's a way to center a room. As you can see with this room, we've centered the room, and it will anchor the room. And
in terms of brightening it up, what would you do?
I would definitely maybe have a feature wall in that color, have it by the TV, but isolated there, and maybe paint the other walls in a more neutral color, because I can see that the room is actually quite dark because of the dark couches.
So idealistically, not thinking about budget, what kinds of things can he do to lift it up, make it more vibrant, using patterns and textures?
There's definitely walls for wallpaper. So you could take some of the colors, those beautiful colors that I'm seeing in the rug, and having it applied as a wall feature with the wallpaper, and then deriving colors from there for your scatter cushions. So go for your florals. You could have some plains in your reds, in your yellows, and in your blues. I think I see some blue in there. So I guess there's always a way to layer a space.
Well, we've given a lot of advice there, and it's all been for free. So if you're looking for free advice on design for you, do mail us on info@thehomechannel.co.za. After the break, we chat to Jonathan Avnon, who has a home that he's designed in a nature-inspired style, using patterns and textures as well. Take a look. Welcome back. Now we have Jonathan Avnon taking us through his nature-inspired home.
The textures used in interior design can be just as important as the color palette. For Jonathan Avnon of Joseph Avnon Interiors, it's as simple as bringing the greenery of the garden inside, but also the soft and inviting feel of various fabrics.
I've got quite a traditional design style. I like to blend it with contemporary elements, lots of pops of color, pattern, texture, and of course lots of greenery. In general, in this house, I wanted to create a relaxed mood. I don't think interiors should take themselves too seriously. I wanted, obviously, rooms that have the nod to nature in them. They needed to be practical, tranquil, just warm and inviting. The clients contacted me to transform their home into a family-friendly space. They wanted a natural, nature-inspired interior, but they also wanted something that was practical and could be enjoyed by their young children. They had a love for color, but they wanted it in muted tones, and as such I took my inspiration from the surrounding gardens. And with me, naturally, I like incorporating greenery into my work, so it was an easy transition for me to transform their home. We went for quite a neutral palette. I think I wanted all the rooms to flow into each other. Then from there, in each individual room, we added its own personality and character with different patterns, accessories, wallpapers, flooring, just to give each its own feel, but still the whole home had a general link which was nature-inspired. Here in the master bedroom, we incorporated the theme of greenery, bringing in this beautiful floral fabric, lots of orchids. We used a lot of natural textures, quite a thick, chunky linen. I bought a nice natural wood bedside tables. Just everything again with a nice neutral palette, but it's got the perfect introductions of greenery and pattern and texture that gives it a nice balance. I think green is a really versatile color. I love incorporating it into every space. It balances spaces, brings the sense of livability and warmth.
With a lot of space to play with, Jonathan has added 2 oversized daybeds upholstered with linen fabric. For added comfort, throws have been used for cozying up and relaxing after work. This side of the bedroom is kept simple, with just an orchid and a few scatter cushions, as the natural outdoors brings a pop of colour. Colour blocking allows for bold use of colour, which is perfect for brightening up a children's bedroom.
Here in the boys' bedroom, we started with doing a green feature wall. I think it brings a really fun pop of color into the space. It's fun and playful and perfect for 2 young boys. We again use the natural elements, these beautiful hessian cushions, a nice wooden chest, shelves with a lot of fun decor items on. I just think it's a perfect happy space for 2 young kids to grow up in. Then going through into their sleeping area, we did nice brown leather headboards. I found these green throws which pick up on the feature wall. We did simple scatter cushions again in nice natural linen textures. And I just think overall, this space is a perfect kind of blend of a young kid's room, but still also got the natural elements, which is something that we wanted to incorporate throughout the house.
Adding a fun factor in the form of vintage superhero posters, which are framed in contrasting black wood, freshens and brings a contemporary feel to the room, perfect for 2 young boys.
Here we are in the lounge. Here again, we started with a nice neutral base. I've used really, really practical, nice and wide sofas, and again in a nice chunky natural linen. We've bought in really pretty scatter cushions as a very subtle floral pattern, some nice stripes. We've toned it down by bringing in these really simple but still really effective leather chairs. Another Sisal rug, nice reclaimed wooden coffee table, lots of pops of greenery, really nice lamps. People can relax here, watch TV, put their feet up. It's functional, but it still is really aesthetically beautiful, I think, and just the perfect center of the home. Here we are in my favorite space. It's a covered patio entertainment area. I really had a lot of fun when I was decorating the space. We put a really big dining room table, nice oversized sofas, lots of, again, natural textures, really fun patterns on the scatter cushions.
Ghost chairs have been used to lighten up a room filled with heavy furniture. These versatile features have also been used at the dining room table.
Every room in this home has some form of green in it, whether it be a paint color or fresh plants or pattern on a fabric. I've, as I said, used a neutral palette everywhere and then brought in green, which is the perfect complement. It just makes the space feel alive and welcoming. The key feature of a nature-inspired interior is natural elements in the room, whether it's greenery, natural textures, plants, flowers. I think the moment you walk into a room and you see a big vase of flowers, you automatically feel more welcome. The space just feels more livable, and I think in general it just adds the perfect element to every room.
Green is a trans-seasonal color, and you can incorporate it all year round, regardless of the space or the style. It's also symbolic of new beginnings, so for a cost-effective, fresh feel and look in your home, start by getting hold of a plant or flower that you and your loved ones can keep alive and thriving.
So one last piece of advice before we close the show.
Okay.
Just going back to redecorating spaces and using patterns and textures, what can the viewers take home today?
Have a basic color palette, have a neutral couch, and then use your scatter cushions on that. Pick a nice, beautiful rug, and then have that inform whatever colors you have in the room.
I love that. And now it's been really wonderful having you on the show. I'm really inspired by the fact that you're young and you're talented and you're going places. And we just wish you the best with your career.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And to you, upwards and forwards. Beautiful.
Upwards and forwards. Thank you. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We've come to the end of the show. You know what to do. See you soon.